Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game Esoteric on our so old I don't even remember when I started series, the Unported Playlist, where I take a look at some of my favorite unported arcade games of all time. And today I have an absolutely outstanding one for you, even if you've probably never heard of it before, and that is Tokyo Cop by Gaelco. This is just an absolutely absurd game. It's definitely B-list jank, but I 100% love it from start to finish, because it's the type of game that I don't really feel like I've ever played before. Before we get too far involved though, do me a huge favor, go down below, hit like and subscribe, that notification bell definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined to want to support the channel, we got a Patreon link down below as well. Now at first glance you might think Tokyo Cop is an arcade racing game, and that is not true whatsoever. You are not trying to get from point A to point B, and you are not trying to beat anybody. All you're trying to do is physically touch the car with the red arrow above it. This is a cat and mouse chase game a la Cops and Robbers. It feels a little bit like Chase HQ, but as opposed to having to really knock down the energy of your opponent's vehicle, you literally just need to touch them once. A glancing blow will end the round. The entire premise of Tokyo Cop is just a car chase throughout different parts of Tokyo. It is simple, but the simplicity is what makes this so good. Think of something like Crazy Taxi. Get from point A to point B and deliver somebody to where they need to go. Simple premise, amazing execution. This game is just flat out fun. All of the different shortcuts you can take within the city, the gigantic map, your different opponents and how they drive. Sometimes like here, they make their own mistake and you can capitalize on that. I will say, because it is running under emulation, it can be a little bit janky in the models though, but that's about all of the problems that there are. Now after you catch a criminal, you're going to get assigned another criminal case to take on, and depending how quickly you catch them, you can upgrade your vehicles. Now you're going to see only 3 are unlocked. There is a password saving function with a phone keypad style input, and you can actually continue your game where you left off, and it will run via TechnoParrot under emulation as well. And since this Gaelco hardware was just a PC in a box, it's really not emulating much whatsoever. It's just transposing this over to run on any PC, not one specific PC. But again, this game is just flat out fun. I love running the car in first person or third person through Tokyo trying to catch my opponent. Their car is always like 10 to 15 miles an hour faster than yours is, and you need to be able to weave and drift and turn amongst all of the traffic to get closer to them, because they're going to basically be perfect drivers unless you force them into a mistake. But that's where all the fun comes, because every single round is going to be completely different. Each driver is going to have their own driving characteristics and personalities. Some are just going to try to outrun you on a straight line, and others are going to really weave in and out of traffic and try to take shortcuts through parks and alleys to avoid you. And bumping into absolutely anything is going to be a big time loss on your end. You need to close the distance, but if you head on a car, if you hit a street lamp, everything has momentum in this game, and one mistake is going to slow you down. You'll see right here, I'm so close to hitting him, and I just have to basically make him weave around that truck, forcing him to cut back to avoid the car into my pathway. It seems like such a simple premise, but each driver has their own sort of driving technique, and you need to read that and understand it. It is a very quick, fast reaction game, almost like a fighting game where you need to read your opponent, except in this instance, the opponent is another car, and you'll see here my car is absolutely destroyed. You're only able to do so much damage until you can't use it in a round before it is repaired. It'll be repaired in the next round. But we pivot around between daytime and nighttime, different cars, everything such as that. But this game just does it for me. It has everything I want in an arcade game. And I will say right off the top, I really love the physics handling system Gaelco used. And every once in a while, you can get a quick victory if you do everything perfectly. It is rare, but it does happen. But each individual car has its own handling characteristics. Like the first police vehicle you get basically drives around like it is a clown car. The turning is so quick, but the vehicle is so slow. If you're using this car against an opponent that you know likes to take alleys and shortcuts, it's going to be a very good choice. But if you're using it against an opponent that likes to really try to outrun you, it might not be the best choice. But because of that damage model, sometimes you're not able to take the car you would want out, and you need to 100% change all of your driving characteristics and kind of mannerisms to make a car that's not good for the round work for you. There's a shocking amount of depth in a game that seems so very simple, and you need to make it work for you. But I will say this game also has a really fun soundtrack with some absolutely hilarious lyrics. So now that we've taken this car down, go ahead and listen to it like 45 seconds or so, and I'll be right back. Yeah, I mean, they took the time to record lyrics for those songs, and they actually work perfectly for this game. It's kind of like an 80s action movie cop drama going on screen, which obviously works perfectly for the genre, because this is just basically a car chase movie in a video game format. It reminds me of a lot of different games, a tiny bit about Burnout, a tiny bit of Super Runabout, and a little bit of Reckless the Yakuza missions all put into one. And you will see that I did run out of time, and the great thing about this game is it's not too punishing to you. If you run out of time, just put another quarter in and hit start. But I really love this game when it's weaving in and out of traffic. This car is taking so many switchbacks, and they're basically just pulling U-turns all over the place to really try to screw with you. Sometimes being too close to the car in traffic can be a bad thing, because they might make a turn and you might not even realize they're going to attempt to do it. You need to really be on your toes, because right there, I just drove right past the turn. But it is hilarious and so much fun when it happens. When you're actually playing this game and you're on a pursuit and you're doing well and something like that happens, it's an equal sense of annoyance and satisfaction, because you know you were so close, but you need to do just a little bit better. And sometimes when you're just pinballing off traffic, you know that it's going to be probably 20 or 30 seconds until you catch up. But I love arcade games like this. The risk versus reward factor absolutely does it for me every single time, and I will say that graphically this game is really fun to look at as well. It's definitely from an earlier PC generation, but this is kind of that janky graphics that I absolutely love and talk about on the channel all the time. And I am looking for an original arcade board for this game, but let me tell you, this is a rare cabinet, so much so that I've never actually seen it in person. The only time I've ever played this game is via TechnoParrot, and I just knew about it and I said to myself a couple years ago, check it out, it's only like 60 megabytes to download. Give it a play. I played it and fell in love with it, and I've been meaning to talk about it on an unported playlist ever since. But as we've caught up to this car here and he's weaving in and out of traffic, they will push cars into you as well. They'll bump cars into your path. I don't know if it's intentional or if it's just a little bit of the AI weirdness, but they're always going to be doing something like weaving in this parking lot here. You just need to pick a good line and you just need to run them down. And that sense of satisfaction is great. It's the same thing with something like Chase HQ or otherwise. It is just an absolute blast to play a game like this. When you finally succeed, the sense of satisfaction is just incredible. But again, one last taste of the soundtrack, because the lyrics are hilarious, like 30 seconds, and I'll come back and tell you the end of the story of Tokyo Cop. But enjoy. I mean, this game just has absolutely everything I need in an arcade game. The action is awesome, the gameplay hook just hooks me in and 100% doesn't let go, the soundtrack is hilarious and goofy, and it's got some of those janky 3D graphics I know and love so much. And if this game even looks remotely fun to you, trust me, just play it. You're going to go in thinking you're going to spend 5 minutes and suddenly you're going to be there for an hour. Tokyo Cop, a lot more so than a lot of the other games I've talked about on this series, is 100% a hidden gem, and you absolutely need to play it. He's busted. I'm out of here. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Don't move.